Joni Mitchell kept a secret from 32 years that would have ruined her career. What happened to her in 1965? She couldn't talk about it. She didn't tell her parents, her fans, or even her best friends. Instead, she sang about her pain. A lot of people now sang along with both sides without knowing the truth. In 1996, she finally spoke out. Everyone was shocked by what she said. The real tragedy was when she tried to make things right. Joni Mitchell was born in Fort McMillan, Alberta, on November 7, 1943. Robin Joan Anderson was her full name. Life wasn't easy from the start. Bill Anderson was her father. He was a flying lieutenant in the Royal Canadian Air Force. His job meant that the family moved around a lot, going from base to base in Canada. Myrtle, her mother, was a school teacher who tried to keep things in order. But Joni felt like she never really fit anywhere because she was always moving. She always had to get used to being the new kid. She would always feel like she didn't have a place to call home, and it would have a big impact on her art. It was this early restlessness that later came out in her songs about wanting and finding who you are. Joni got polio when she was 9 years old in 1953. Back then, it was a very scary disease. She was in the hospital for weeks and couldn't see her family or friends. The illness bent her back and gave her pain that would not go away for the rest of her life. After many years, she would also have post-polio syndrome, which made her weak and tired again. Taught her how fragile life could be, but it also made her stronger on the inside. That fight comes through in her music, in the way she talks about struggling to stay alive. During the same tough time, Joni did something she didn't mean to. She started smoking when she was only 9 years old, while she was still getting better from polio. She did it to rebel and take charge when she felt like she had no control over anything else. But the habit didn't hurt her singing. That sound is now known as one of the most beautiful and unique in music. She was brave even when she was a child, and that trait would follow her throughout her career. She never had a good time at school. Joni didn't like studying very much, but she really loved drawing. That's where she really shone. She first saw herself as a painter, and the way she wrote songs was influenced by her love of color and detail. For better skills, she went to art school, and that visual sense showed up in her songs. Her songs were like paintings, and her records were like works of art. Joni did something brave in 12th grade. She stopped going to school. She made a risky choice. She hung out with people who broke the law. She said she got too close to that world later. But even during that hard time, she wrote down stories and thoughts that would become songs. She got up and picked music as a way to move forward. Joni was 19 years old and an art student in Calgary in 1964. She got pregnant when her life took another bad turn. The baby's father, who was also a student, left her. He only gave her a poem as an answer. That was it. Joni had no one to help her or support her. She was left all by herself. Being a single mom at a time when society was mean to women like her made her feel ashamed and scared. She didn't tell anyone that she had a daughter named Kelly Dale Anderson. No one knew, not even her parents. In the 1960s, people were really afraid of being shamed. When Joni was pregnant and after she gave birth, she hid it. She went through all the pain and fear by herself. She finally made the hardest choice of her life. She gave up her child to be adopted. It broke her up. Lori Wilson, her friend, said it was awful for Joni. She was very sad, but she couldn't see any other way. No father to help, no money, and the weight of what other people thought was too much. She became the person she is today because of that broken heart. It made her songs more real and gave them meaning. Joni couldn't talk about her pain in public, so she wrote about it in her songs. She started singing in coffee shops, and every song she sang was filled with her pain. That sadness made her strong. It gave her work something special that made it stand out. It made her songs closer to home and more real. People knew her style for being honest and brave. Other artists became just as open because of it. Joni Mitchell was only 21 years old in the beginning of 1965. She lived in Toronto and tried to make it as a folk singer. She also had to deal with the harsh reality of being a single mother in a world that looked down on her at every turn. She had a girl named Kelly Dale Anderson who was just born. She was feeling crushed by the stress and shame. In March of that year, she met Chuck Mitchell at a small music club called the Penny Farthing. He was happy, tall, and 29 years old. He was already a part of the New York folk scene. From the start, their meeting was tense. Joni told him that he had spelled a Bob Dylan song wrong during his set. Instead of being hurt, Chuck felt drawn to her spirit. He asked her to marry him in 36 hours. After 2 months, they got married in June 1965. Joni believed that this marriage could help her get her daughter back from foster care. The only thing that seemed to give her hope was Chuck, but what seemed like redemption quickly turned into something else. It wasn't love that led to the marriage. It began with Joni's need and Chuck's trust. He promised to help her get her daughter back. That promise didn't last after the wedding, though. The conversation turned to their jobs. Kelly was finally given up for adoption. For decades, Joni hid the fact that she had been hurt. She felt heavy because she had lost Kelly and Chuck had let her down. What she thought would make her feel better made things worse. Chuck didn't just fail to help Joni. Things got worse because of him. He laughed at Joni when she told him about her new song. Both sides now. She felt little around him. Later, everyone would love and praise that song. But the man she thought she could trust turned it down. His harsh words kept shaking her. Chuck made her feel less sure of herself. He was in charge of their money. He made sure they performed together so she wouldn't be able to stand out on her own. He did not want to take care of another man's child or see Joni's fame grow bigger than his. Joni felt like she had no way out. When she married him, she hoped to be free. She thought she was free, but she was locked up. Joni left her husband in 1967, after less than 2 years of a bad marriage. That was the end of the split. She got ready and drove to New York City by herself. Everything changed because of that drive. She found her voice by herself in a city full of thinkers and artists. She got stronger. She still had scars from her time with Chuck, but they changed her. They made her songs honest and raw. They helped her grow into the artist that everyone loved. Joni Mitchell wrote songs about broken hearts that touched millions of people. She started the journey that would make her famous when she left Chuck. Something strange happened in the fall of 1967 that would change music for good. When David Crosby got lost in Coconut Grove, Florida, he came across a small club called the Gaslight. He had just been kicked out of the Birds. An American girl named Joni Mitchell was on that stage. Crosby was shocked as soon as he heard her sing. In the end, he said it was like falling into a cement mixer. He was moved by the strength of her voice and words. Not just any meeting, this one. Cyrus liked her as an artist and as a partner. He got her to agree to go to California with him. That's where he got her get signed to Reprise Records and made her first album, Song to a Seagull, which came out in March 1968. Crosby wanted every sound to be real and clean. To get the best sounds, he even had her sing into the open lid of a grand piano. The raw sound that came out was beautiful, but there was some tape hiss in the finishing mix. It was more than just the start of a career that night in Florida. They worked together, and that helped shape the music of a whole age. Joni Mitchell's songs were already big hits before most people even knew her name. She just hadn't recorded them herself yet. Artists from around the middle of the 1960s saw how great she was. In 1967, Judy Collins' song Both Sides Now was a top 10 hit in both the US and the UK. Collins also recorded Chelsea Morning, and Tom Rush made The Circle Game a popular folk song. Her songs have also been performed by Fairport Convention and Dave Van. Tom Rush even made Urge for Going Well Known. The covers helped Joni get the attention she needed. She put out Song to a Seagull in 1968, and by that time, her songs were already folk music. She was free to make art before most of her fans had even heard her singing. Clouds, Joni's second record, came out on May 1st, 1969, and it changed her life. It got to number 31 on the US Billboard 200 and number 22 in Canada with songs like Both Sides Now and Chelsea Morning. The big show happened at the Grammys in 1970. Clouds won the award for Best Folk Act. At that time, Joni was one of only a few women to win such an award. The record showed how much she had changed. The words were more about the singer. The music had more guts. Both Sides would end up at number 171 on Rolling Stone's list of the 500 best songs of all time. She wasn't just given a trophy for that Grammy. It also gave her the freedom to try new things with her singing. Joni put out Ladies of the Canyon.
The change wasn't small. It shook up her career. The album shot to number 2 on the US charts and hit number 1 in Canada. It sold over 2 million copies worldwide and became her best-selling album ever. The single, Help Me, reached number 7 on the Billboard Hot 100. That made it her only US top 10 hit. Free Man in Paris, inspired by David Geffen's struggles in the music industry, climbed to number 22 on the Hot 100 and number 2 on the adult contemporary chart. Her music grew so complex that regular rock bands couldn't handle it. She had to work with jazz musicians. Critics loved the album. Court and Spark was named the best album of 1974 by The Village Voice and was added to the Grammy Hall of Fame in 2004. It proved she could take risks and still win over fans. Around 1975, something unexpected happened. Mitchell's clear mezzo-soprano voice started to change. It dropped into a deeper contralto range. People noticed her bright upper notes fading. Her voice turned husky and rich. Some blamed her smoking, since she was known as one of the world's last great smokers. But Mitchell said it wasn't just that. She talked about vocal nodules, a compressed larynx, effects from childhood polio, and natural aging. Instead of fighting the change, she embraced it. She found her new voice more expressive.
She wrote the songs Carrie and California in Metalla. These songs showed the spirit of her trip. This time in Europe, which helped her find a new style that would lead to her epic work. That great work came out in June 1971. It was named Blue. It was a real and honest record. Joni said she didn't feel like she had any more lives to keep. She sang about broken hearts, love, and finding herself in the songs. From her time in Europe and her tense relationships with people like Graham Nash and James Taylor, she got them. It was easy music, just her singing, a piano, a guitar, or a dula. The feelings were stronger because it was so simple. Blue made music that really opened people's hearts. Blue did well right from the start. It got into the top 20 on the Billboard 200 in the US. It got as high as number 3 in the UK. In the early 1970s, that was a big deal for a folk record. Blue got a silver award after selling more than 1 million copies. It got great reviews. People said it was brave, beautiful, and would change the game. There was a lot of great singing and writing on the record. It made it possible for many other people to follow. Blue only got taller as the years went by. Rolling Stone put it at number 30 on its list of the 500 best records ever made in 2003. It got to number 3 by 2020. NPR even said it was the best album a woman has ever made. Blue's power comes from how honest it is. People are still moved by the song, and artists of all types are still learning from it. Out of the 10 songs on it, 2 really great hits stand out. A Case of You is a soft, painful look at love. For decades, the line, I could drink a case of you and still be on my feet, has moved people. It's been played by artists like Prince and Diana Krall. This Coming on Christmas is the first song on River. They're cutting down trees and makes people feel sad and desire in its world. Court and Spark by Joni Mitchell came out on January 17, 1974. It made her life different in every way. This album was very different from the folk songs she used to make. She changed her sound to be more smooth and jazzy. It was a big change. It made her job less stable. It went straight to number 2 in the US and number 1 in Canada. It was her best-selling record ever, selling over 2 million copies around the world. Help Me was her only top 10 hit in the US. It got to number 7 on the Billboard Hot 100. Free Man in Paris, which was based on David Geffen's problems in the music business, went to number 22 on the Hot 100 and number 2 on the adult current chart. Regular rock bands couldn't play her music because it got too hard to understand. The people she had to work with played jazz. The record got great reviews. Court and Spark was added to the Grammy Hall of Fame in 2004. The Village Voice named it the best record of 1974. It showed that she was brave and could still win friends. Something strange happened around 1975. Mitchell's clear, high mezzo voice began to change. It changed ranges and became more contralto. People could tell that her high notes were getting softer. Her voice got deep and husky. Some people thought it was because she smoked, since she was one of the last great smokers in the world. Mitchell said it wasn't just that, though. She talked about voice nodules, a swollen larynx, the effects of having polio as a child, and getting older naturally. She didn't fight the change. She welcomed it. Her new voice made her feel more alive. Her songs became more eerie and deep, which fit the tone of her later work. Songs like 1970's IXS Hajara showed off this new sound.